And what we found was a huge gap between how we're taught to learn at school and what's actually possible. And we thought, yeah, there's nothing more inspiring than building a company in this area.
Chris, pleasure to speak today. We're announcing today Kinu's seed financing round. So it's a great opportunity to catch up, ask how you're doing, and most importantly, what you're doing.
As is always the case when you're building a company, it's the analogy where it feels like you're building an airplane from bits and pieces as it's falling holds true. So things are always going really fast, but going really well at the same time. And given that we've just closed our last round of financing, we're in a really good state.
So maybe in a very short 30 seconds or less description, what does Kinu do?
So Kinu is a learning app that combines AI-generated content with an adaptive learning engine to accelerate knowledge acquisition and retention. Like basically the way you can think about it, if you were going to draw a computer science metaphor, you have information and that you want to wire into your brain in an accessible, indexable way. And the algorithm that you use to do that is called learning. And the algorithm that we've been taught at school is wildly inefficient. And what we want to do is increase the upper bounds of what that algorithm is, or like increase the speed of that algorithm is the best way to understand what we're trying to do.
So is your own experience in learning, particularly from the past, the driver for you starting this company?
I would say I wasn't the most model student, but always suspected there was something more and that the brain was capable of so much more than what it felt like at school. Like an anecdote how we started the company was, you know, you've seen the movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves. You know the scene where he plugs in the cable in the back of his head and he says, "I know Kung Fu." So as a kid of the 90s, that really appealed to us when we were in school. And we always thought that was really cool. And in founding this company, we thought, okay, that's clearly impossible, but what would the next best thing be given everything that we know today about the science of learning and how the brain actually works? And what we found was a huge gap between how we're taught to learn at school and what's actually possible. And we thought, yeah, there's nothing more inspiring than building a company in this area.
So why do you think now is the right time to tackle that challenge?
I think one of the prohibitive factors in starting a company in this space has always been around content. And we made it a really early bet that AI could help mitigate that at a time when people thought we were pretty crazy about what was possible. So we basically said, if we could use AI to solve the content generation problem, then we can do it now, whereas it wouldn't have been possible, say, like 10 years ago. And you see that as well in the learning / edtech companies of the past. They were really focused on the content, and that was what set them apart. We think the learning companies of the future will focus on the mechanism, how you get knowledge into your brain.
Mm-hmm. And I think now, obviously, generative AI being the buzzwords on everybody's mind, how do you think that will sort of impact our perception around sort of learning and knowledge, both in sort of acquiring, retaining, or testing for knowledge?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's very tempting to like look at the interesting or hyped up technology of the time. There always is one. This isn't our first rodeo. We've seen several like interesting tech waves come and go, but at the same time, you have to embrace what's new. And if you look at like how ChatGPT and large language models are impacting learning, they're really just giving you access to more knowledge and maybe more relevant knowledge faster, but they aren't helping you learn that knowledge where you actually need to. And I think like that problem is trend agnostic. Like it's something that every human does at every stage of their life. And we just see AI as a tool to help us achieve that faster in a way that wasn't possible in the past.
So if I want to sort of check out the work that you're doing, who's sort of your target user and what can we sort of check out?
Kinu is available on the App Store, on Android, and on iPhone, so anybody can download it now and check it out what we're building. The target market that we're after first are adult enthusiast learners, what we call Da Vinci's. These are basically self-motivated individuals, adults who learn for learning's sake to broaden their horizons or further themselves in a self-developmental way, which most people don't realize is actually half of the entire market for people who do online courses. And the reason why we're focusing on that market first is that a lot of the technology and approach around learning is quite novel, and we would be too constrained by like an academic institution to have like the full design latitude to build and test what the learning engine is capable of.
So what is the most exciting development in store for Kinu in 2023?
2023, we're focusing a lot on the learning engine itself. So improving the efficiency of the engine. What you'll see in the next coming months is a completely novel way of combining things, combining content that you're learning or that you could be able to know together in one experience. Like one school teaches us that courses are taught in a silo, in a one-size-fits-all kind of package, whereas we know that that's not how the brain learns. The brain learns by building connections that are salient. So the technology underpinning that's very, very difficult. So we're working on that now, and making the content adaptive. So again, breaking this one-size-fits-all mold. If you have a more humorous or a more scientific, if a more scientific tone resonates with you, then the content will adapt accordingly.
Yeah, no, and I think you're on a great path with the app, and obviously knowing a little bit more of what is going on under the hood, I'm very, very excited. We're also very grateful for you choosing to partner with us on your really noble quest and mission to bring knowledge to the world. Thank you so much for your time, Christopher, and yeah, we'll hope for everybody to plug in and keep watching of where Kinu is going. Thank you.
Amazing. All right, cheers, Martin. Cheers, bye.